Welcome to Sin Carne. How are you?
Yes, fine.
Quite nice. How are you doing?
Good, good. Um, we have a surprise today from you, Mats.
That we have been teasing this before, though. But
Yeah. But
yeah,
now
exactly.
it's happening. Now it's
Yeah,
happening. Yeah,
yeah. I think everyone has really been waiting for this one. Yeah,
yeah.
we're going to talk about real estate in Brazil.
Yes, we're looking forward to this, to hear everything.
Yeah, should we get started right away then?
Yes.
All right. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. Yes, so the agenda is the following. So I have chosen to focus on Rio de Janeiro, since that is my favorite city in Brazil. Of course, there are many other areas, but I think we can focus on this one today, and maybe we can return to other places later. So have found some information on how you purchase real estate as a foreigner in Brazil. Also have tried to list the different taxes and fees that will be applicable. You can't talk about Brazil without talking a bit about security. Then I've also checked a bit about price development, both in local currency and also like how the Brazilian real actually has developed towards the dollar, which is kind of interesting. And the last part is that I've chosen like 4 different areas in Rio. So I'm going to go through a bit of those different areas and also have some examples of apartments and houses in those areas.
Okay.
So let's go. So why did I choose to focus on Rio de Janeiro? I think it's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And what is really cool, I think that you have basically almost like everything, in one city, which is pretty unique, I think. It's really, I mean, you have these amazing beaches right in the city center. You have access to really nice nature, also basically in the city center, and it is also like a really big city. So I mean, you have access to everything basically in Rio, which is really cool. And it's very diverse. It's a very dynamic place. I mean, you have everything from the favelas, to these very, very rich and exclusive areas and everything in between. And I think also that the weather, I think is really good. It's warm basically all year round, but it's seldom like too hot. So I think it's a good compromise weather-wise. And then also you have a lot of really nice places, just within a couple of hours drive from Rio. Many other like nice beaches, and you can go up in the mountains, and there are so many really like these paradise islands you can go to, also just a couple of hours drive from Rio's city center basically. So it's a lot to explore actually, if you are in Rio de Janeiro. So yep. Yeah, so if you want to purchase as a foreigner, I haven't seen any real restrictions or special requirements. So it's like being a local, what I understand. So there's like no problems with owning property as a foreigner. So that's a positive. And then we have the taxes and fees. So when you buy a property, there is a property transfer tax called ITBI. So this varies a bit by municipality, but it typically ranges from 2 to 4% of the property's value, and you pay this during the property transfer process. And then there is a notary fee, about 1% of the property value. And then you're going to have legal fees, because you need to have legal help for doing this transaction. And I think 1 to 2% is what you have to calculate with. So that brings it to a total of 4 to 7% maybe, just for when you buy your property. So I guess that's quite a lot. So that's important to think about. And then when you're just owning or holding your property, then you have to pay an annual property tax, IPTU. And the rate is usually between 1 and 1.5%, but it's of the assessed value, which is typically quite far below the market value. So this is for the properties I've been viewing. This is not really a big problem. It's quite small costs if you don't have a very expensive property. And then when you sell your property, you're exposed to capital gains tax. So for us non-residents, when we sell, we're going to have to pay 15% of the profit. And I realize now that probably you have a few other fees also when selling, I would assume. But yeah, these are some of the costs at least. Yep. And then you have the security aspect. And I think it's interesting. I hear a lot of different opinions, on safety in Brazil. Some people say that you cannot walk by yourself, at night or anything like that. And some people think it's not a problem at all. So I looked up at least the official crime rates, and that's the 7th highest in the world. So I guess that says something. I guess it actually said it's mostly, these violent crimes are mostly between, in the organized crime world, basically. I don't think you're exposed that much to that as a tourist or as a foreigner. But so my experience is that most things that happen is like petty crimes. It's like pickpocketing, for example. I think if this happens to you, you really need to make sure that you don't fight back. And you can get drugged. This is something that happens quite frequently. It's actually quite funny. I met the Swedish guy. He has a YouTube channel which has actually grown pretty big now. It's called Swedish Gringo. And he was the victim of both these things pretty recently. And then he fought back. And then they hit him quite hard, actually. So he had to go to the hospital, and he had to pay a lot of money in the hospital. And then he also was drugged in a bar. And then the people drugging him, they actually followed him to his apartment. And then when he woke up, they had stolen everything from him, basically everything of value, like all his tech gadgets. He had a lot of cameras as a YouTuber and stuff like that. And yeah, it's pretty tough. So you have to be careful. That's for sure.
So how can you be careful given this?
No, but I think as long, let's say that someone is trying to steal something from you. I'm not that afraid of losing some material thing, but I don't. So I would give it away. I wouldn't fight back. But of course, to lower that risk, of course, you shouldn't have a nice watch or anything like that, or have the best smartphone maybe and show that off too much. I guess you should try to keep a low profile a bit. That would probably help. But also that not getting drugged. Then I guess you have to be a little bit alert when you're out and about. You have to watch over your drinks and stuff like that, so nothing happens.
Is there a difference if you go together with someone or alone? I guess it's more safe.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. A lot safer if if you are in a group, definitely.
So no more like solo adventures for Daniel here.
I'm also thinking about maybe if you started to feed. I'm not sure if you feed anything before it happens, but maybe it's better to stay at the bar or something and not lead them back to your home.
Yeah. But I think actually it is a special thing that they drug you with, and when you get that, then I think you easily follow along with stuff, so
Okay.
once that has happened, I think that then it can be hard to say no. I think that's what I heard at least. So yeah, you should make sure that it doesn't happen in the first place, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's good to be aware of this, and I think you have to be a little bit more alert in general than what you are in other places. Yeah, I think that's good to know at least.
Yeah.
Yep. So then if we take a look at the price development, and this is some kind of general real estate price index for the whole of Brazil. So this is like a 10-year period, and I think it's basically, let's say it's gone up maybe like let's say 30%, maybe like in local currency in 10 years time. But then it's also interesting to check. So how has the Brazilian real developed compared to the dollar? And then you can see in 10 years it has actually lost almost 60% in value. So if you're looking at your investment in dollar terms, then for the last 10 years you lost quite a bit just by holding your property in Brazil. I think this is quite interesting. So I mean, if you're doing this for just if you believe that this will go up in value, then this has not been, at least for the last 10 years, it has not been the best idea. I mean, of course, this doesn't take into account if you rent your property out and stuff like that. But if you only hold it and maybe just for living there yourself, then it has not been the greatest investment, I guess.
Maybe we could see it similar to Sweden, like US dollar is like an all-time high. Maybe it might lose in value.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean the dollar is fairly strong, but I mean I think it's still interesting. I mean, because let's say maybe I would probably, if you think about investing in real estate or investing like in the stock market, for example. I mean, let's say I think the best thing to compare is probably like if you invest like in a global index, that's probably the one with the lowest risk. And I mean, if you did that, then you would have gained quite a bit, during the last 10 years. I'm not sure exactly how much, but in dollar terms, you would have gained, I don't know, 7-8% per year, maybe something like that. It's really a big difference if you compare just the value in dollars to other investments, I guess. At least the stock market.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that because you said it last time, and I was wondering maybe the index funds, they are based on maybe, or most of the increases are for like 10 companies or something that stands for a really big increase.
Yeah.
And the question is if that is going to continue.
Yeah, no. I think probably, I mean, the last few years have been exceptionally good. Yeah, for this magnificent seven or whatever you want to call them. But I think even if you go back in time, it's very difficult to find. Like I think it's difficult to find even like a 3-year period where a global index didn't go up in dollar terms. So I mean, if you compare it with this here, maybe you have lost like 30% in dollar terms if you bought an investment in a property in Brazil like 10 years ago. It's still a very big difference, I think. Even if you would compare it with a more maybe normal period in the stock market, I just think it's fairly interesting. It's something to think about at least. If you think that this could continue, if this would continue, You shouldn't buy it just to be richer in dollar terms. Maybe you want to have other values out of this as well. Yep. So I've chosen a few different areas in Rio with very different characteristics, just to show that there is a lot of different things to choose from. Can you see the mouse pointer, by the way?
Yes.
You can. Great. So if we start with favela, so I've chosen Vidigal, and that one is, you can find it down here,
Okay.
like in the south. So it's fairly close to beaches, but it's situated like on a hillside, like most of the favelas. And the second area is Copacabana, and that is the beach area, which is here, probably the beach that most people have heard about. And then we have Santa Teresa, and that area is closer to the center of Rio, which is over here. And this is also an area which is a bit elevated, so it's a little bit higher up. And last but not least, we have Leblon, and that is one of the beach areas situated here. So there you have some background on those areas. So we start with Vidigal. So this is considered to be the most foreigner-friendly favela in Rio. So probably this is the best one if you would like to stay in a favela, or if you want to buy real estate in a favela. You have a lot of nightlife. You also have a lot of restaurants and bars, of course. And I think, like in general, I think if you live there, they are considered to be the whole of, at least for South America, that if you go into these areas and if you don't belong there, if you just go there just as a tourist, that's not very popular. So, but if you actually live there, I think it's a lot safer. And one advantage is that you get the best views of the city if you live in these favelas, because usually you live up on the hillside, and you can have amazing views, of the sea and of the rest of the city. So that's pretty cool. A negative is that the transportation is not the best. There is since it's like on a hillside, it's you don't have any metro or anything like that. You have to rely on buses or on this MC taxis and stuff like that. So that's definitely a negative. And
Do they have regular cabs there, or Uber?
Yeah, they do, but it can be problematic sometimes if you want to go to a favela. Sometimes if you order an Uber and if you try to use that an address in a favela, they might turn you down. It can be. It's more problematic for sure. It's definitely a negative. And I don't know if you heard this, but I actually thought that David Beckham bought a property in Vidigal, but when I Googled it now, it says that it's a rumor and it was never really validated that he actually bought it. And it sounds like a crazy idea. I mean, for a celebrity or like an extremely rich person like that to have property there. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was only a rumor. Yes. So here is an example of an apartment in Vidigal. So how big is this one? No, I can't actually see that. I think this was. Can you see it? No.
Yes.
Yeah, you cannot see this. I think it was like a 65 square meter or something like that. And as you can see, you have the amazing views, and the price is fairly cheap. So this is basically roughly $100,000, more or less, which is not a lot. And you can see also the condominio thing. That's what you pay. That's like the monthly fee. So that's like $100 basically. And IPTU is this the property tax, and that is like $20 per year. So basically nothing. So this is really, if you want to go, this is Rio on the cheap. It's a very cheap way to get a place in Rio. I myself, I have never actually been to a favela, so I'm not really sure. I mean, what it's like to actually live there. So I cannot really say if it's a good idea or not. But I met a few people who actually lived there, and they were pretty positive about it. So I guess it's doable, but
And they're still alive.
they were still alive actually. Yeah, so that's a good sign, right? They live to tell about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just checking the Google Maps of this on this Vidigal, and it's kind of a black zone. It's there are no street view. They didn't dare to go with the expensive cars
Yeah.
up there. It seems like.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it can be interesting to know that this is an option at least,
Yeah.
if you're on a budget. So then let's go to Copacabana. Yeah, so this is probably the most well-known beach at least in Brazil, maybe in the world. And this is definitely the most popular area for tourists. So it's like packed with tourists. So yeah, if you like that or not, that's something to think about. It's pretty good for swimming, so it has a little bit smaller waves compared to the other well-known beaches like Ipanema, Leblon. One negative is maybe it's like heavily exploited, with modern ugly houses, and it's pretty heavy traffic, especially if you go a couple of blocks from the beach. It's really heavy traffic. It's quite dirty. Unfortunately it's like way too much exploited, basically, and the standards of the houses are not really all that great. They are like tearing some of them down and building up new houses, and I think that could actually be a better idea, possibly, if you wanna stay here and if you wanna buy property. A positive thing is that you have access to easy transportation. You have the metro close by, and they also have this really cool rental bike system. So you can get this subscription to these rental bikes, and it's basic for free. It's like a symbolic fee you pay, or like, I don't know how much it was, just a few bucks, dollars a month or something like that. So basically zero. So that's a plus with this. It's very easy to get out to the center of the city, or if you want to go to other places, you can go to other beaches actually also with the metro, for example. So that's pretty good. So here is an example. In Copacabana, there's basically only apartments. I haven't basically no houses. It's only apartments. So this one, let's see how big this one is. I can't actually see how big. Okay, so this is actually 134 square meters, and with 3 bedrooms. So pretty good size, and the price 1.3 almost million reais. So that is like a bit more than $200,000, and you can see. So maybe $300 per month in a monthly fee, and then maybe like $1,000 for the property tax per year. So I think still, I think this is I would say this is pretty affordable. This is also just a couple of blocks from the beach, so you can walk to the beach in just a few minutes. So I think this is fairly cheap. I mean, if you compare to many other places worldwide, at least. Yep. So that's Copacabana, and then we have Santa Teresa. So this is the area a bit closer, a little bit further up north, closer to the center, further from the beach. And this actually used to be the most luxurious area in Rio de Janeiro. You had in the end of the 19th century, you had a lot of wealthy families who built mansions on the hillside. So you have pretty impressive houses up there. And but when the coffee boom ended in Brazil in the 20th century, then the Santa Teresa lost its status as a luxurious area, and it changed. The vibe changed. So today it's more of a like hipster cultural area, I would say. It still is a lot of things happening there. It's a lot of nightlife happening, a lot of restaurants and bars. So you have a lot of that stuff, and then you also have this very popular tourist attractions. You have this tramway. It's a really old tramway going from Santa Teresa down to the Rio Center, which is pretty cool. And then maybe you've seen the cellar on steps. I think it was featured in a Snoop Dogg video, for example. It's these very colorful steps. I think you've seen them. It also leads from Santa Teresa basically down to Lapa. It's called. It's an area in downtown Rio. But yeah, if you want to have access to the beach, then this is not the best. It will take you a while to get to Copacabana, for example, from here. So yeah, depending on what you're looking for, this might suit you good or not. But just as an example of what you can find here, so here you find a lot of these bigger houses or mansions, and this is one example of that. So this is a fairly big house, and that you can get. You see the view. You see the downtown. From this particular one, and in other ones you have view of the sea, so you can choose what's your favorite view basically. And this particular one is 3.2 million reais, so that's like $600,000, something like that. And this is a really big one. It's a 450 square meters. It's 6 bedrooms. So a really spacious house, and you obviously have a swimming pool.
Sorry, what kind of plots are we talking about here? Plot size.
That I cannot see it here actually. But some of them are really big. Some of them have like big gardens. I'm not sure about this particular one. If you have a garden, I mean, you have this pool area. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly how big the lot is. It looks fairly big to me. And this is also, I think, I mean, if you compare this with other like cities, like this, I mean, it's you get basically like a mansion in a good location. You can get it with like amazing views, and this is still, I mean, some money, but still affordable for a lot of people. So I think it's kind of interesting, actually. All right. So the last area is Leblon. So in Leblon, there's a lot of both apartments and houses. And they are both close to the Leblon beach, which is a really nice beach. And this Leblon is the most nowadays this is the most exclusive area in the whole of South America, basically. And here you have both gated and non-gated areas. So the areas with the houses, the standalone houses, are typically gated, and I think most of the apartment buildings are non-gated areas. But yeah, if you want to have so this is an example. If you want to have like a beachfront apartment here on Leblon, then you have to pay up a bit. So this is like 16 million. So basically, and so this is closer to 300 square meters. It's four bedrooms, so it's fairly big apartment. And it's like, this is like $3 million. And so this is a bit more in monthly fees also, and also the property tax is a bit more. But maybe that's not a problem if you can fork up the money enough to buy this. Maybe the monthly fee is not an issue, I guess. But this is basically where you pay most per square meter. Is if you want to have beachfront access in Leblon, that's basically the most expensive property you can buy in the whole of Latin America, probably. So that was actually the last slide I had.
Interesting.
I can just mention very fast that I managed to find that property, the last one with the pool, and it seems to be 2,000 square meters. And the lot size.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
So what would you buy, Mats?
Yeah.
It's a good question, actually. I've been thinking about different options, actually. I mean, first, probably I thought most about buying something close to the beach. To me, it doesn't matter so much if it's, basically you have Copacabana, Ipanema, and Leblon. Those are the three main beaches. And to me, they are fairly similar. You get a little bit the same vibe, I think. And it's fairly easy to go between these. Like if you have a bike or something, it's fairly close. You can even walk if you don't going to go from one end to the other, basically. But I think Santa Teresa is a really cool area also. And there of course you have the possibility to get a totally different property. You can get these like really cool big houses, with a big garden overlooking the ocean. So, but then again, then it's further from the beach and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's maybe optimally you should have a house in Santa Teresa, and then you should have maybe a small apartment in Ipanema or something, so you can have best of both worlds.
Yeah, I feel like the crime part is like a dark shadow of the all over this Brazil. I know you've been there and you are like used to it in some way.
Yeah.
But, well, how do you feel, El Presidente?
As you mentioned, I kind of like the idea of just being able to go everywhere, even solo. If I haven't had a few drinks, I don't say no normally, even without drugs. So I can just walk along and see what's happening over there. And I think that I would really have to think about what I'm doing if I'm going to a place like that. But maybe that's the whole of South America. It's just different in Europe. You can just it's never happened anything to me, and I've been quite drunk sometimes and just walking around. It feels safe anyway. So.
Yeah, but I think you can control it a bit, or quite a bit yourself. Let's say I think daytime. I haven't seen any. I have seen stuff happening on the beach. Someone trying pickpocketing on the beach. That actually happened. I don't know, quite a few times. You just hear something fairly close to yourself. you hear people starting to shout, and they're running after someone, and that happens. I've seen it several times myself. So I mean, that's not just something you read about. That happens.
Yeah.
That happens
You're
for
not
sure.
selling it well.
Yeah, no, yeah, but
But I'm
but
actually okay with pickpocketing. That seems pretty harmless, and you can keep your stuff at home. And yes, the other thing is kind of more scary with getting robbed and drugged.
yeah, but I think like at night time, I mean, as long as you are in, let's say that you're staying in Copacabana, if you're just walking around in that area, that's fairly low risk. I think that something would happen. But if you venture out, to like favelas or something, or if you go into other areas, then you're taking on a bit of a risk, for sure. And I guess, and they have so many different cool areas. Like in the center, for example, they have this Lapa, is like a party area. You're gonna check that out if you go there, and yeah, and just very very if you go out from that area, in the center of Rio, it's not a good place to be. Late at night. I mean, especially by yourself, that's a big no-no. So you have to know. You have to
You
know
need
where
to
you.
have like a geo-fencing app or something. Now you're going outside the safe zone or something.
Yeah.
That's actually true. That would be a good thing, actually.
Now there would be an app for all over the world where you have like geo-fencing for security.
Yeah.
That's actually not a bad idea, actually.
Mm.
I haven't thought about it, but yeah, why not?
Smart idea.
Yeah, and Daniel will test it out, the limit.
Yeah.
But then you have to cross the limit to know if
Yeah.
it's actually working, right?
Yeah. It's not
No
this
risk,
part is
no
not
reward.
working.
Yeah.
Not
but
working at all.
but seriously, you have to check it out at some point. It is like such an exciting place, if you just go to like the downtown, even during daytime, it's just, yeah, it's like walking around in an amusement park for us, basically. There's so many things that we're not used to, so many like spectacular things happening at the same time, like all the time, and you see things that you've never seen before. I mean, I think it's exciting. I mean, when I go, abroad, it's kind of cool to have, if you go to Germany on vacation, I mean, then I can stay at home. It's like nothing really interesting will happen. If you go to Rio, and if you dare to explore, I mean, I think most people who go there, they just stay on the beach in Copacabana. They don't see anything else, and yeah, then it's not that exciting. But if you actually venture out and if you explore stuff, then I mean, you're gonna have interesting experiences. That's for sure.
You didn't just say 2 minutes ago that don't go out, don't explore.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
but
it's one thing if you're alone by yourself and if you're
yeah,
thinking about going out in the center of Rio nighttime, that I would not recommend. But just if you go and explore like daytime, or if you like in a group of people, then you can go out basically anywhere nighttime. I mean, there's so many cool things that they really have, like so much local culture. It's not totally overtaken, by the Western culture. So they have their own drinks, they have their own music, the dancing. It's and you have the samba, all this the carnival, and there's so much. Just you can go out, to the city downtown, like on a Monday night. It's going to be these samba schools are having, like they are practicing, and it's amazing, like party spirit, like on a Monday night. I mean, it couldn't be any further, from what you get like in Stockholm. I mean, you have to experience it, and I think it's really really cool, actually.
mm.
I haven't seen anything quite like it, to be honest. I think Rio stands out, when it comes to this, like the party spirit,
How are they in English? Is it possible to get by, or do you need to know Spanish, or how does it work?
It's Portuguese.
Yeah, sorry, Portuguese, of course.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. I think actually with Spanish, if you could speak Spanish, you could get by a bit on Spanish. They seem to understand. I've seen when people when one speaks Spanish and the other Portuguese, they seem to understand each other. But yeah, many people are really bad at English.
Yeah.
So I mean, among the younger generation is better, but not good. So yeah, it's going to vary quite a bit. So yeah, you really will gain a lot if you learn a bit of Portuguese. Definitely, I mean, if you're going to stay there for a longer period of time, I think you need to learn it. You're missing out on a lot of stuff otherwise.
So if you were to travel to Rio, how long should you stay? What is a good time to
But I think there's, I mean, you could easily spend a couple of weeks, without being bored at all. There's so much to explore. I mean, just in Rio itself, and just as an example, like a popular area which maybe should have been included is called Barra da Tijuca. That's just south of the Rio Beach. You can go there with the metro, and that's a really like popular area. I think. Especially for locals, maybe with it's a little bit upmarket. There you have a lot of nightlife and like this endless beaches and some really cool places. They have some lagoons, and in the lagoons, you have these small islands, with really super cool party areas, and most people don't see this. I actually just stumbled upon that just by chance, and yeah, I mean, like I said, you have this basically like paradise islands. You have this what is it called, Bucios. It's like the Monte Carlo bit of Brazil. This luxury place, a little bit north of Rio, just a few hours if you have a car. So I mean, there's a lot of super interesting places that you can explore. So a couple of weeks you could easily do.
Did you like change your opinion in any way, like during investigating this about different places, or your position in general of like investing something here?
I mean, when I looked into the fees, for example, were a little bit higher maybe than I initially thought. That it could be up to like 7%, maybe like just when you buy something.
But you reacted on fees when we talked about other places as well.
Yeah,
So
and yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like Spain, for example. I mean, I don't know, and of course there are other places also where you have to pay quite a bit. So yeah, maybe it's not that bad. It's just that I haven't really maybe it's not a showstopper, of course. But I mean, maybe it affects a little bit. Like if you buy something, I mean, you want to be sure that at least you want to keep that property for a number of years. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to buy it and sell it in 6 months or something, or a year or anything like that. Because then it's better to rent something for sure.
yeah, I think what's interesting as well, if you can rent it out and how the rental market is.
Yeah, but one thing that I think when I see, I don't know what about you, but when I see these like opportunities, like that you can basically buy these mansions, maybe I didn't show the best one in Santa Teresa, but you have mansions looking incredible. Actually, I mean it looks, yeah, quite amazing. If you can get one with a garden like overlooking the ocean, and it's still you're still close to Rio Center, and I mean and you have access the beaches. I mean then yeah, it's not 5 minutes walk, but still you can get there, pretty easily. So I mean, if you compare that with other places in the world which are like comparable, if you want to have this weather and everything like this, then it's like a bargain, right? I mean, especially if, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm right, but I would assume that at some point it would be more secure. at least maybe like with technology, I think will make places more secure with time. So I think actually, like let's say that the security aspect would be solved, then I think if that's a correct assumption, then I think that this is a good investment. Don't you think that is the security that maybe?
Yeah, because I don't hear people going and investing in Brazil for some reason. So that's the big question. I feel like strong after this. I still feel stronger for Colombia than Brazil. I mean, I would like to experience like carnival, but not like a day to day thing. That is not important to me. I need somewhere. If I want to live there for say 2 months, I need somewhere pretty safe where I can be, where I can have like family, where I can go shopping and a bit of privacy. So I'm not sure. Maybe I have changed that. Like those days are maybe gone where I want to have access to the nightlife all every day. More like I want to be able to go into the nightlife when I want to. So
Yeah, but it's I think Rio is like a lot more than nightlife. I mean, you have this. You can do a hike, up in these like mountains and stuff, like overlooking the city. And that is also it's pretty spectacular, And there's so many things to do. You can go to these restaurants in the favelas, It's pretty cool experiences that I think it's not easy to replicate in many other places. So and you really have access to so many different things, which makes it. I think it's fairly unique. I think, but I agree about the security, and I know it's. I think it's holding off a lot of people, from going there because you have to be aware of it.
yeah, I think the big question if it's holding off you from investing.
Yeah, no, of course I would. For example, let's say that you would buy, like a mansion in Santa Teresa or like any property there. I'm just thinking, like, what kind of security do you need? Like if you let's say that you're staying there like for a few months in the winter, what's going to happen when you leave? I mean, I guess you're going to need to have pretty good security. Otherwise, I guess people will invade your property and you will never see it again as it was when you left it. At least I don't know. I don't know. Things could happen.
Would it be possible to take a loan there in some way? Just thinking if it was you could get a win in that if the loan is also a decrease in value.
Yeah,
Take a loan in the local currency.
yeah. I think the interest rates are a bit higher, but yeah, but
Okay.
still, if the currency keeps falling like this, then it could still be a good idea, probably. But I don't know actually what. If I have no idea if we can get a loan there. I mean, it's difficult for them, I guess, to check your your assets and stuff. I guess. I don't know.
Never.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great, thank you for the
And
presentation. Really interesting. So I guess this is the end for this session and Brazil.
Yeah.
So Mats, do you have anything to say for our users, subscribers or non-subscribers?
Yeah, they have to like the video, of course. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
if they liked it or not. They have to click the like button, and they should also subscribe, of course, to this amazing
Perfect.
channel.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.